Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to be working on an A1465 that is not turning on. Let's get started. This A1465 is the 2012 through 2015 11-inch MacBook Air. This one appears to be the 2013 edition because you can tell by the size of the JTAG connector. Also, this board is an 820-3435. You can find that number right over here. That tells me it's a 2013. So I'm going to be going through these streams a little bit faster than I usually do because I have to fix a lot of stuff to get closer to the target of where I can make new space a little bit nicer. First thing I have to do is steal some magnets, and there's no better place in the world to steal magnets from than Paul's desk. Nobody tell him. Nobody tell him. So first thing we're going to do here, like as we usually do with all of these boards, this multimeter having the broken kickstand is driving me nuts. Oh well. So first thing we're going to do is see how many amps it's taking. Alright, it's taking 268 milliamps, 272. Now that's typically indicative of a PP Bus G3 hot short. Oftentimes that's something that we can actually see very easily. And there's one thing here that is noticeably strange. I'm kind of curious if any of you can see it from the overhead camera. Probably not, so I'm going to show it in the microscope. So first thing that we have is that screw doesn't belong there. That screw actually goes elsewhere. Take my Google rewards and put it towards a new move. Thank you very much, True Vader. I highly appreciate that. I appreciate... So you're not supposed to short the voltage from the coil to the heatsink. That's frowned upon. So what we're going to do is remove that. And also, this is the wrong screw in the wrong hole. Oh my god. You actually screwed that in. Wow. Can I... This screw doesn't belong there either. But it is a short screw, so at least it's not doing anything too terrible. This machine kind of makes me sad, I'll be honest with you. Let's plug this in and see if we removed it. Okay, it looks like we're taking 6 milliamps now. Now we're spiking between 6 and 200, but we're still stuck at 200. Alright, we're just going to take this thing apart, soup to nuts, because it's clear that someone was inside here that did something that they shouldn't have. Makes me sad. I don't think so, John. Alright, so I have a feeling that if I do what I did last year after the CBC News piece, that I will be able to make my budget shortfall and make this new store amazing. I actually met with a flooring contractor today. I reached out to 3. One got back to me, but then stopped getting back to me when I asked about time. One of them avoided me altogether after saying, well, let us know when you know what you want to do, and let me know when you know what you want to do, after Paul sent a very clear and very detailed email specifically saying exactly what we wanted done. And the other guy is actually one of the few good ones that gave a quote in the last space, so we'll see how that goes. Excited. You and Erica making a tofurkey for Thanksgiving. Erica is going back to Hawaii for Thanksgiving to see her family, and I will be here at work because there is a lot of extra to be done. But nope. New store is not gonna make itself. You gotta earn it. So it's gonna be working at a little bit of a faster pace than usual. Last year I took okay. We had fun last year. I think throughout Christmas I was streaming board repair. We're going to do something similar for Thanksgiving. We're going to give thanks to the god of liquid damage. Give thanks to the magtrometer. Okay. Let's get that up in there. Now, let's see if we can confirm my theory that PP-Bus G3 Hot is shorted to ground. Remember, PP-Bus G3 Hot is the main power line. For those of you who are curious what I mean, I will open up a schematic and a board view for an 820-3435. I will show you the list of power rails. Anytime you have no power, you want to go through your list of power rails. I would say Christmas. I like Christmas. Because the thing about Christmas is it's a religious holiday. I'm not religious, but I still love Christmas. I could explain later. So so here you have your list of power rails. And PP-Bus G3 Hot's the first one. So I'm just going to measure that on here. And let's see what voltage we got on our PP-Bus. 0.6. Okay. Now let's see if that's shorted to ground. I'm guessing that it's shorted to ground because every single time I have 200 milliamps, that's shorted. And yep, it looks like that rail is taking 200 milliamps with its short. So let's see if this is something we can find without using the thermal camera. Now remember, when you have a short circuit to ground, that means one of your components is taking all of your energy and sending it to ground because it's failed. And typically that component is going to look malformed, and you should be able to tell. But sometimes you can't, and you have to use a thermal camera or put alcohol on the board and see what gets warm. So the first thing we do before we load up any sort of expensive equipment, because I like to keep it simple, I like to make these videos in a manner where if you're following along and you don't have a lot of nice equipment at your office, then you're broke like I was when I started. You can just get, you can get stuff done. So you can see that someone also broke the clip for the keyboard backlight on this board. It's kind of sad, especially after the screw attack. Alright, so we're going to try a new approach, alright? Ready? So I'm simply going to plug it into my charger, and I'm going to start spraying alcohol on it, and I want to see if it starts fizzing in any area. You all ready? Okay. Next up, I'm going to start feeling around the board with my face in a moment. Okay, here we go. I think I got a suspect. Something over here. You see that? Do you all see that? Now, that is how I was able to use this cheap little alcohol dispenser and some isopropyl to figure out what's going on and what my short is. So let's see what happens if I remove that. Mike, this is an 820-3435. You can see the scratches from using the wrong screw on the heatsink of the CPU. Makes me sad. OZBOZ33 in chat. Any sort of random crash or random reboot, that's one of the most difficult things to solve on any of these devices. And unless there's a specific design flaw for that year, and it's well known, solving that is going to be very, very difficult, if not impossible, over the internet. And maybe even very difficult in person. Okay, so next up, we're going to see if we still have a short circuit on that power line. And it looks like it's cleared. So we had sub 4 ohms before, and now it's slowly going up. Yep. Okay, now let's take a look at what it is that MOSFET was for as we allow our board to cool using rapid cool technology. So the MOSFET that was broken is right here, Q7430. Now, this MOSFET is responsible for creating PP1B2S3 for the memory. This is interesting because usually our PP bus shorts are tantalum shorts on a PP bus cap. So what this MOSFET does is it allows this buck converter to work. And if you don't know what a buck converter is, I highly suggest you check out my old videos on buck converters. They're not difficult, they're really short, and they have a lot of pictures in them. I try to include pictures because I could explain this until I'm blue in the face. But once you see the pictures, it's going to make sense in a manner that you wish they explained it that way while you were in college. Now, over here, you'll see that you have PP bus G3 hot over here, and it's going to show, this is an alias for PP bus G3 hot. By alias, what do I mean by alias? What I mean is that, damn, Paul Daniels software. Yeah, so PP bus G3 hot goes through a current sensing resistor over here, as you can see, to become PP bus S5 high side computing iSense. So it's essentially PP bus, it's just going through a resistor that's going to work with current sensing. So this chip over here is going to tell this transistor over here, turn on, turn off. This chip tells this transistor turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off. And you're going to have spikes of 8 volts go through this coil, and you're going to have 8 volts, then 0 when it turns off, then 8 when it turns on, then 0 when it turns off. And that's going to happen over and over again, you know, a little bit of 8, a lot of 0, a little bit of 8, a lot of 0, until it averages out to 1.2 volts. However, if this transistor gets stuck on in the bottom section, it's just going to take your 8 volts and send it straight to ground. Now, one of the things that can also happen when these get stuck is it can take your 8 volts and send it straight back to this chip. Because keep in mind, this is supposed to be switching. So here you have this 1LL line over here, and also your DR, where is it? You have DRV, VBST, all these connections to the transistor. If this thing just becomes shorted, for a split second, you send your straight 8 volts to this chip, not switching, just straight up 8 volts, constantly to pins that are not expecting a constant 8 volts so it can kill it. So this is the tricky part. Now let's say that I replace this, but it killed this chip. This chip is going to always be on, so it's going to tell the transistor to always be on, in which case it's going to overheat and die. So then I replace this chip, but then this is dead. So that sends 8 volts constantly to this, and then this is dead again. So if I replace this without replacing this, the old this will kill the new that, and then, well, I replace this, the new that will be killed by the old this, and so on and so forth. So when dealing with these types of issues, in my findings, it's best to replace this and this as one set so that you don't drive yourself nuts. And that's what we're going to do here. So we're going to replace each. Someone asked if I could fill out a questionnaire. Unfortunately, I am streaming at the moment, so I will not be able to fill out a questionnaire due to the streaming, but later on, yes. My email, lewis@rossmangroup.com. You're welcome to email me, but if you email me and don't get a response immediately, please don't come to the store and wait here for 2 hours until after we close and then get mad when I kick you out because you tried to bargain for a free repair in exchange for an ISL chip. Okay. So. Now. Okay. So now we're going to a little bit of solder there. We're going to say solder with an L just to appease and please all of you who think it's disgusting that I say solder with a D like it's supposed to be. That's right. That's how it's supposed to be. You mad? You mad that I pronounced solder properly? Yeah, I can tell you mad I pronounced solder properly. This is a pretty board. Good work. Okay, let's grab a replacement. Next up, as I said, it's best to replace the chipset that goes with it. You don't want to have dead U7400 kill your newly minted transistor. See you later, DM. Alright, and at this point, we are going to power it on. Then you will see 500 milliamps be taken, and you will see fans spin because we had solved our problem. Are you ready to watch the fans spin, ladies and gentlemen? 1, 2, 3. Fan spin. So, we had a short circuit on a transistor that creates PP 1V2S3, that's 1.2 volts for the RAM. Now, whenever you have a transistor and a buck converter blow like that, it's important, in my opinion, to replace the controller as well, because you don't know how that transistor failed. Now, if this transistor failed in a manner where it's just taking the voltage that is over here, like if it's just taking this and sending it here, then you have nothing to worry about. But if it took voltage from here and was stuck shorting all the way down to here, then your short to ground may be a little bit through here, but it also killed this. And you want to make sure that you don't have this dead, because if this is dead, it's going to tell the transistor to be on all the time, which then kills the transistor. And then after you replace this, well, then your transistor's dead. And when your transistor's dead, it's going to kill that again. So you replace this, but it killed that again. And I've literally sat here for 2 hours going back and forth, driving myself crazy with this. And the reason I mention this is because I want to make sure nobody ever goes through that hell again. So that is it for today. We have a working MacBook Air. It was taking 250 milliamps, and whenever you have an 820-3437, 820-3435, 820-00165, or 820-00164, and it's taking about 250 milliamps, your problem 99.9% of the time is going to be a PP-BESH G3 hot short. That's why it's really good to have a power supply. I got a link down below to where you can find one that you attach your MagSafe to, because it's going to tell you how much amperage the machine is using. Remember when you do these tests that you should do it without the battery attached, because you do it with the battery attached and you're going to see how much power the battery is drawing as well. It's going to mess up your reading. I'm only interested in what the board is taking and what the board is telling me. The more information the board can tell me and the quicker it can tell me that information, the quicker I can start getting involved in figuring out what's wrong. You really want these ways, these little types of shortcuts to figure out what's wrong so that you don't wind up testing everything. My misconception when I started in this business was that if I was going to fix boards, well, the way to do this is you test every single component on the board and then you figure out which one is wrong, and obviously that's not happening. That's going to take you all day. So hopefully you learned something from this. That's it. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support over the years, and I will see you in the next one. Cut! And we move on to stop recording, and we make a new file. Enjoy your board with a hole in it. Okay. We got to blaze through a lot of boards. We got to blaze through boards, blaze through videos. We got a lot of videos to make, a lot of boards to do. Paul Daniels is here. Meet Paul Daniels, the man with 2 first names. Best programmer in town. He hails from Australia. Australia. Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we have another A1466. This MacBook is not powering on. Let's see if we can figure out what's wrong with it and get it working again, and perhaps get this guy a sticker with this same bicycle but with a bafang on it. So let's get to work. So first thing we're going to do here, open this thing up, put it on the table, figure out what's wrong with it. Let's open it up. Every bike needs a bafang on it. You're a lying sack of shit, Bruno. I saw exactly what an L said. Of course I read that chat. I read all of them, Raka. Now I'm avoiding reading YouTube chat because Anel got everybody to troll me on it. Oh, okay. Anel's actually... It was accurate. Lame. Copaz said a mission to fix Tello in your store. Okay, remind me to bring it, because it's in my apartment right now. I enjoy smashing it into... Yeah, I enjoy flying it to Erica, and then when it goes out of range, it just kind of hits her. It's kind of sad, but... I knew what I was doing the moment I started flying a drone that Cope has fixed around my girlfriend. It is indeed, Dad P. Alright, let's see what's wrong with this MacBook. So first thing we're going to do, as we always do, is unplug the charger. Unplug the battery, because the battery is going to give us a strange amperage reading. Plug this in. Are we taking anything? Alright, looks like we're grabbing 6 milliamps and nothing is coming through here. So let's get the board out of the machine and figure out what is going on here. Yeah, it looks like it's not even activating the charger at all. It's almost... Is this plugged in? Okay, it is plugged in. That's really strange. There's some dirt over there that I'm missing. Nah, alright, let's take it out. Yeah, Thomas, what I'm looking for right now is to see if the knockoff cases have it. Because if the knockoff cases that have ISO 9240s, that means that I can get them cheaply. We'll see. Dark side, we don't do those, because I don't have a way to do it competitively. I'm sorry. So it looks like here this board is an 820-3437. I can tell because of the numbers written right on the board. See? See? Right there. I don't know how you were able to miss it. Okay. Tux, I'm not going to be importing those anymore because I got tired of losing money because of tariffs, so... Yeah, I don't have plans to sell that. And also, the thing with selling those... Are you beeping at me?
No, that's a good thing.
Stop beeping at me. Yeah, the other thing is that selling that stuff requires having stock, which means paying ahead of time. And you pay ahead of time, but then you get them 2 or 3... What the fuck are you doing?
What happened?
What are you, an A1237 MacBook Air? Stop beeping. I will reflow your MCP79U, I swear. One beep!
Some of the tips don't like being at 840. They prefer 750. It's some sort of weird thing that I noticed.
Interesting.
A 2936 board that doesn't have SMC on-off trigger from the button. Is that keyboard or board?
Huh?
A 2936 or board. Stop.
Yeah, this is good.
2936 board, right?
Uh-huh.
1278. Doesn't have an SMC on-off trigger from the button. Do you think that's the keyboard or the SMC just?
What happens if you short the pads on the board?
It didn't turn on. So.
Try shorting the two pins in the board.
Yeah, and if it doesn't turn on, then SMC or.
There's a resistor in between the keyboard connector.
Oh, the pull-up, right?
Yeah, no, there's the pull-up resistor for SMC on-off L, but then there's a resistor between the keyboard and SMC on-off L.
Okay, so I'm still getting in for board rate.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, so in terms of stocking microscopes, I have to pay for them up front. It takes 2 months for them to get here. I sell them for very little over what I bought them for, and then I get owned by tariffs. So I'm just going to go back to affiliate link into the Amazon ones, and that money is going to be required for the new store. The same thing with Quicks and all the other stuff. Like I like selling them, but they make very little money, and you have to pay for them up front. So I'm gonna be moving away from selling stuff, selling all those kinds of things, as we do the move. So yeah, unfortunately, right now I am very sorry, but I don't have any plans for those microscopes to be sold again for the time being. But I appreciate the interest. I really do. Okay. Yeah, I know it sucks, but I pick and choose my battles. Speaking of picking and choosing my battles, do you have any time between 3 and 4:30? Question mark. There. Do you have any time between 3 and 4:30? Question mark. Is this actually sending my emails? Okay, what was I doing? Alright, so the board is out of the case. Beautiful. It's taking nothing. Now remember, in order to get a green light in the charger, the one-wire circuit has to be working. I would highly suggest that you check out my videos on the one-wire circuit if you're interested in it. On boards.rossumgroup.com, you can actually see that there's all organized into a playlist called No Green Light, where I talk about the one-wire circuit and why it's required to get the green light in the charger. Now, the chip that's going to be speaking with the charger is this chip, the SMC, and there's 2 chips on the DC in board right here that are going to facilitate the speaking going on. These are going to protect that data line in case somebody plugs this in improperly. So let's say that you're plugging it in sideways. Instead of the data line pin speaking to the SMC, you may get the 18 volts touching it. And this chip over here is like a protector. It's kind of like the SMC's bodyguard. So that's all going to be powered by 3.42 volts, and we have to see if we have that on this board, which means the software has to be in voltage mode. Unfortunately, the Paul Daniel software is now in resistance mode while my meter is in voltage mode. We just smack the Paul Daniel software right there, and it works again. Now it looks like we're getting 0.01 volts on PP3V42_G3 hot. So let's open up the schematic as well as the board view for 820-3437 board. And we are going to take a look at the PP3V42_G3 hot circuit and see why it is we're not getting PP3V42_G3 hot. Okay, so take a look here. Now, first thing that we need, obviously, is going to be voltage coming into the chip. So if we have a charger plugged in, that means that we're going to see that voltage on R7005, and also, ideally, if there's no short circuit over on the input stage from these caps to ground, right after the diode. So let's go after that. We're going to check D7005 around there and see if we have input voltage. Very interesting. So we have 0.7 volts on input, so we're not even getting input on this machine. Okay, let's go before that. What do we have up here? Nothing. Paul did nothing wrong. Flexboard view is amazing, said Ryan Radford. Ooh, look at you white knighting Paul Daniels' buggy software. Poof. All right. Let's see. Let's move all the way back to the DC inboard where the charger is and see if we have voltage coming in on this fuse. Interesting. Nothing there. Nothing even on the fuse? Really? 0.25? 18? 18. Okay. Let's try this again. I think my charger is starting to go out because it's been so abused. Alright, 18 volts here. 18 volts on input for 17.7. There's a little voltage drop from the diode, no big deal. This circuit doesn't use much amperage, so even if we do a voltage drop, no big deal. 3.46 volts. So we have 3.46 volts, but no green light in the charger. And PP-G3 hot is 8.19 volts. Now, let's talk about what this means. So, there are two SMC functions that are not working right now. The first SMC function is we don't have a green light in the charger. The green light in the charger is created when the system management controller is able to speak to the charger. The second thing that we don't have is PP-G3 hot being the right voltage. Now, in order to explain this properly, I'm actually going to have to show you how the circuit works on an older board because I don't have a schematic for the DC in boards. I'm going to open up a schematic for some other board that will allow me to demonstrate what's going on here that uses a very similar circuit. So let's switch over here. Okay. So if you take a look over here, you'll see that we have 18 volts coming in. That's one from the charge port. This over here, J7000, is the charge port. The second is we're going to have what's called adapter sense, and the third is ground. Now, adapter sense is going to be a data line. And this chip over here is what is the bouncer. Remember when I explained this, like think of it like your private security? So U7000 is like your private security guard that doesn't allow this data line to speak to the SMC unless it sees that everything is all right. And over here you have a line called sys1 wire. That's the line that's going to be going straight to the SMC. So if I click on that right over here, you'll see on U7000, that chip, that data line goes straight to the SMC, sys1 wire. Now, this circuit over here, the reason I call this little chip U7000 like a bodyguard is if you send adapter sense a 3-volt data line, it lets it through. If you send 18 volts because you're drunk and you're plugging your charger in wrong, then it's going to destroy the SMC. But we don't want to destroy the SMC, so U7000 is a bodyguard. If you put 18 volts of DC there, it says, screw you, I'm not sending you to sys1 wire. This circuit needs PP3V4 underscore G3 hot to work. This chip is going to power that one, and this chip gets powered by PP3V4 too. And so this circuit requires the SMC. Remember, don't send schematics to Lewis. It's totally wrong, not the right thing to do. Absolutely. If you send it to lewis@rossmangroup.com, I'll report you straight to Tim Cook. Now, this is one SMC function. Being able to communicate with the charger in order to get a green light. You need that communication with the charger in order to get a green light. Now, the SMC also has another function. Remember when I just said that PP-G3 hot is the wrong voltage? It's measuring 8.19 volts? What do I mean by that? That's a great question. So let's go over the circuit that creates PP-G3 hot over here. Now, this circuit is going to create PP-G3 hot. What you see on the screen right here. So this is going to take the voltage from the charger, and it's going to turn it into PP-G3 hot. See? Now, PP-G3 hot is usually 8.5 volts, but now it's 8.1 volts. Why is that? Well, this chip is actually going to speak to the SMC on this bidirectional data line. See SM bus charger SDA and SM bus charger SCL? Let's see where those go in the schematic in the board view. If we click on this, you'll see that Paul's software doesn't show it. But luckily, I remember which pins it's on so that Paul's software can't sabotage me. Haha, Paul. Now you'll see that this speaks directly to the system management controller. So the system management controller is going to speak to the ISL 6259 and say, listen, 8.1 volts ain't enough. I want 8.5 volts. That's not good enough. So what we have here is we have two SMC functions that are not performing like they're supposed to. And this helps me narrow down the cause of the issue. There's two things that are broken, and I'm not going to think about, when I have more than one thing that's not working, I don't want to try to fix each individual problem. What I want to do is say, what do those two things have in common? And here, what those two things have in common, besides Paul Daniels' software, is that they both are related to the system management controller, this chip right over here. Crap. Yeah, I suck. Okay, thank you. Whoops. Okay, fixing the title. Thank you very much, Christopher Kelly. I appreciate that. I have updated it accordingly. If you reload the video, perhaps it will show you the updated title. Now, this over here is the SMC chip. And let's take a look and see what's going on with it. Ooh, well, what do you know? Corrosion. Now, the green corrosion on these capacitors is honestly probably not the main cause of the problem. Indeed, Voidhen, indeed. This is not going to be the cause of my problem. The cause of the problem is most likely that some of that green stuff got under the chip itself, and that's going to be what we need to focus on today. So, I think David stole my big nozzle. I'll have to make do with a small nozzle today. I get what it feels like to be a normal man for once. I liked having my large nozzle. Jeff says, at least he doesn't dumb it down as much as Jessa. I don't understand if that's a compliment or an insult. But I actually make a larger effort to dumb it down, I believe, than Jessa. Because I've spoken to Jessa, and she likes educating people. She likes making these videos. It's fun for her. But she has no desire, and I respect this, she has no desire to make it so easy that you can watch her video and in 5 or 6 minutes know how to do every single thing she does. She leaves a little bit to the... She leaves a little bit there where you've got to figure this shit out on your own. And I don't think I do that. I actually make an effort to not do that. Not only do I want you to be able to figure it out on your own after watching the video, but I want it to be easily accessible so that each individual problem with every single board is something that's been answered with a video. So my goal, if I'm not dumbing it down enough, it means I'm actually not doing what my goal is with the video, which is to make it literally as easy as possible for some jackass that couldn't even pass chemistry in college like myself to figure everything out. And one of the things that would drive me nuts when I was learning how to do other things from other people is that they would always assume that I knew a certain amount of stuff, and they would forget what it was like in the beginning. So when I'm explaining this stuff over and over and over and over again, the reason I'm doing that is because a lot of people, when they start out, they don't know where to start. And that's the most commonly asked question for beginners. Where do I start? Where do I start? Where do I start? So if I make each video informative enough that you could be clueless and not even know what a buck regulator does, but still kind of grasp on, you're going to be less discouraged. And the more information I put in that is made under the assumption that someone new isn't going to, know, automatically what one wire is off the top of their head or why certain things are important, the less likely it is that somebody who watches is going to be turned off to the entire idea or just think, this is above my head, there's no way I can do this. Because I realize that discourages people. And I try to remember what it was like when I first started and what discouraged me so that I can try and fix it. Sometimes this stuff comes off real easy immediately, and sometimes it's a royal hassle. And today's material appears to be a royal hassle. I like that you explain this over and over again. Keep it up. All the best from Germany. Thank you, Anna Fan. Alright, now the last thing I want to do, so I don't make a total jackass of myself, is make sure that SMC Reset L is present. SMC Reset L is a signal that's going to turn on the SMC. So keeping in the spirit of explaining things from scratch, there's a signal called SMC underscore reset underscore L. And what that does is it tells the SMC to turn on. So anytime you see underscore L in a signal name, that means the signal is present when it's low. And what reset is going to mean is stop working altogether. Before I do that, I think I'm just going to give this a minor reflow. Just a little bit of a reflow. Nothing too big. Now, to help fund the new store, we sell flux. So I think it's important that I be honest about how much flux you need as an influencer in order to reflow chips, just to make sure that we hit our sales target. I value honesty and transparency, so I would never use more flux than needed in the attempt to influence sales. That is the amount of flux that you need. If you use any less flux than this, the board won't even work when you're done. See? Paul, say nothing if you agree with me. Paul S., say nothing if you agree with me. See, Paul agrees with me. Alright, so we're going to give this a nice reflow. I agree with you, Vico-san. Justin, I'm thinking of scheduling one for later today. I'm gonna have to. We try avoid him. Alright, let's see if iron gets hot. Is iron hot? Iron is not G3 hot. Oh, yes. Is my tip dead? My tip is dead. Oh, my iron is dead. Let's see.
I don't know if you might like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to fix my tip at component level later. Alright, this is not exactly the knife tip that I enjoy. But, well, we're gonna make do with it because I don't even think this is a knife tip. I think this is a tweezer. Is this a hot tweezer tip? You're using a hot tweezer tip, aren't you? You savage. David is a savage. David was raised by wild wolves, where they use HAKKO hot tweezer tips in the micro pencil. Just going to reattach the stuff that looks nasty. Okay. Next up, we're going to file off these caps over here. And I don't believe any of these are shorted or broken. Okay. Now we're going to see if the SMC is able to communicate properly with everything. I'm going to take my charger, plug it in, and we're probably going to get a green light and then 500 milliamp draw and fan spin. That's how we roll. Okay, we get a green light, 500 milliamps. See 500 milliamps right here. And fan spin. This is the 820-3437, so it's going to turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, turn on, turn off, turn on. And you'll also be able to see that our PP Bus G3 hot, which was 8.1 volts before, is a happy 8.5 volts now. So that's about that. The SMC was keeping not only PP Bus G3 hot from becoming the proper voltage, but it was also keeping the green light from turning on the charger. The SMC was not turning on due to minor corrosion. Now, even though there was, I can't really tell if there's corrosion under it, and it didn't look like it was coming from under it. The corrosion on those small caps by the SMC tells me that something likely leaked under the SMC, and the best way to go about that, in my opinion, is to use some good flux, give it a reflow. You know, you don't have to go crazy with it. Don't kill the chip, especially in the beginning. Using less heat is better than using more, especially if you're just looking to get rid of corrosion, not actually solder. Again, there's a difference between trying to get rid of corrosion and actually resoldering. And it works. We're going to toss this in the ultrasonic cleaner to get rid of any sort of corrosion under there. Now, many of you may wonder, why do I do that before putting it through the ultrasonic? And that's a great question. So let's say there's a hardened solder ball, right? Now, if it got corroded, it's going to be a bunch of little pieces of dust. It's going to be like, sand. I don't want to wash the sand away. I want to turn that sand or that back into a rock. I don't even know if sand is what they make rocks out of, so this is probably a really dumb analogy. Hopefully you get the idea. But I don't want to have all those that solder ball that turned into a bunch of corroded little junk. I don't want that to flow away and wind up in the bottom of my ultrasonic cleaner. I want to take those little bits of sand and turn it into a rock again so that it is nice and hard and attaching the SMC to the board. And then once that's reconstructed properly, then we can deal with cleaning all the corrosion off, not the other way around. What I did there is I probably saved myself the amount of time that it would take me to have to take that chip off and reball it when it probably doesn't need a reball. So that's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for learning, viewing, sharing, and hopefully you took away something from this that you can use to fix a machine that Apple said could not be fixed, and I'll see you in the next one. Cut. Lewis, you don't look like a just chatting cam girl. Yes, my breasts are not large enough to be a cam girl. We're getting there if I don't exercise more. I could be a Twitch thought. What do you mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm a 2? Here, watch. Somebody just donated $2. So I'm going to do a deadlift. See? Oh, wait. Yeah, you're right. I need an ass cam. Can you put together an Arduino that every time I get up, it changes the stream deck to ass cam? I'm going to be a proper Twitch thought if it kills me. I take offense to that. Every time a donation comes on the screen, I'm going to do a deadlift with a camera right on my cleavage. Look at that. Actually, see, this is kind of thoughtery right here. See that? The battery of my headphones is in my cleavage. Ugh. I'm gonna emphasize that every single time a donation comes in. Yes, yeah, wouldn't you like to be that Shure battery right now? Raw. Tech thought sounds better. I'll take being a tech thought.
Being a what?
Tech thought. He said out of a scale of 1 to 10, my Twitch thought skills are a 2. I said, look, you can see the battery in my headphones and my cleavage.
Don't forget crotch cam.
Crotch cam too, yeah, crotch cam. Let's go. Eh? Yeah, every time a donation comes in, you can see. I'll just have the camera point right here. Wouldn't you want to be one of these strings? Matt says Naomi Wu does that. Yeah, that's the thing with Naomi that I don't get. Like, I don't mind. There's nothing that's a problem to me about women being in tech. There's nothing that's a problem to me about attractive women being in tech or this, that, the other. But it's like when you have a camera doing this. Look at what I'm creating today. I'm soldering something today. It's like, come on. I mean, like, you know what you're doing. You know what you're drawing attention to. And you know why you're drawing attention to it. It's just like... Obviously, people are going to be focused on that and have questions about the rest of what you're doing if that's what you're making the focus of everything. Like, what's that? Cupcakes? I can't afford cupcakes. I'm a fat ass. Okay, maybe one.
They look nice.
Oh, those look good. Okay, fine. One! Okay, which one do I take? Because I only have a budget for one.
So chocolate ones.
Okay, for each cupcake, what do I have? What would be the most Twitch thoughterly way to eat this?
All at once. Like one bite.
Should I smear this on my cleavage? I'll let the chat vote. Do I smear this? Thank you very much for the cupcakes. Would you like a cupcake?
I would love it. I'll try one, yeah.
My gloves have a lot of flux on them.
They want you to suck on it or what?
Yeah.
What is this?
I'm being a Twitch thought.
They want you to eat it on Daddy's butt cheeks, what?
I'll take a pink one. Huh? You can have the rest, because I can't.
The rest.
I'm too fat to eat this shit.
Fat, but I'm not that fat.
I wish I wasn't fat. If I wasn't fat, I would consume this whole thing. Slowly lick around the edge and then shove it in your mouth and say, Yeah. Well, it's a good thing I have a skill, so I don't gotta try this.
Are they good?
They're amazing.
Pretty good, yeah.
I ate one and only one. They'll be gone in about 10 minutes. those are some good cupcakes. You're fine, what the fuck? No, what is this? What is this? This happened ever since I tore my quadricep, and I still haven't gotten rid of it. Like, look at this. Like, this is... what the fuck is that? Even if my leg recovered, I really never fully... my body never fully recovered from the effects of not being able to go running for a year and a half or so. Don't forget to try one of the chocolate ones. JP, one and one only. One and one only. Discipline. And now the worst thing is, right after I had the torn quadricep, I started taking this medicine that adding weight was a side effect. So I went from like 150s to 160s all the way up to 189, and then I said, no, fuck that. That's not happening. So right now I range from 172 to 174. My goal is to get back to 165. At least like 165. That's the absolute minimum. I mean, maximum in terms of a goal, what to get back to. If only Lewis could do more exercise to help, like riding a bike. That's the thing. I actually was riding for 6 months, and it did nothing. A 4 mile bike ride really doesn't do anything. So I was going out running after work for about 4 miles. Like, running 4 miles will do something. Biking 4 miles is like, that's nothing. So... all right. Okay, so we're going to put notes into this ticket. Hello, Heck from the Netherlands.
Why are you standing up?
It's because I have to put this in a slot, and my arms aren't long enough to make it there. I suppose I could try to reach that way with my ass coming up on the camera as I try to each time a donation shows up.
Me flexing as I walk by.
Twitch thought.
Walking by,
Oh, you Twitch thought.
Just minding my business, walking by.
Look at this Twitch thought. Oh. All right, time for me to get another board. You two are fucking ridiculous.
Oh, he's one bathroom. What? Oh, shit. Nothing, we just looked about to you. Hey, why did you do this? Wait. No, it's not you.
No, we got tape.
What the fuck are you doing? What do you want?
Does somebody want this last vanilla coffee?
No, I'm good.
Hello back to you as well, says Hackintosh. Thank you, Miss Person from Europe. Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to get to work on an A1707. This customer wants the data off of it, and they're unable to get it. It's almost like they soldered the drive onto the board. So let's get started. Let's get rid of that crotch cam rubbish. Robert, I have no intention of that. It occurred, it passed, I told them off, it's done. If we keep our pride, though paradise is lost, we will pay the price, but we will not count the cost. We will pay the price, but we will not count the cost. Oh. Yeah, there's really I really have no intention to do that, Jeff. It's just, it taught us a lesson about store security, and that's that. Though everything is lost, we will pay the price, but we will not count the costs. And we'll pay the price, but we will not count the costs. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we unplug the battery, because I want to see exactly how much the power this thing's taking off the charger, because that's going to give me an idea of what's wrong with it. Five volts at 20 milliamps. So it looks like the machine is not communicating with the charger and telling it to put 20 volts out rather than 5. Hello. Big Bean, it's either a bad battery or your board is not recognizing the battery. Check out my battery recognition video. This is not an iFixit screwdriver, this is a Weehaw screwdriver. I'm not sure what iFixit offers. They sell tools. And they offer repair guides. They're mostly like basic level, no component level stuff. And they're more the basic repairs, not the more in-depth stuff. Like they'll show you how to replace a screen assembly, but they won't tell you how to, let's say, fix a Retina screen, just the screen. It tries to show you repair guides that are more accessible to a novice audience. Oh, come on. I forgot these two. Ooh, this weed. I see weed in here. Okay. What do you see? What's this chip and what does this do? That's an excellent question. So what we're going to do here is find a schematic for an 820-00281 board. Paul Daniels' software is going to open it by default in this strange orientation that nobody in real life holds their board in the desk at. But that's Paul Daniels' software. Paul Daniels is also going to change the shortcut to rotate the board from R, intuitive, to some comma period rubbish. Never update software, I'm telling you. Okay. So that chip over here is a CD3215. Now what does this thing do? That's a great question. So, over here you have a charge port. See this? Charge port. That's where this is where it connects to the board. Right here. Nothing's that dirty, Copaz, but yes. Nasty. So if we take a look, you'll see that we actually have pathways to the CD3215 from the charge port. See that? Charge port speaks to the CD3215. Charge port speaks to the CD3215. So, this is a USB-C charge controller. USB port, USB-C port controller, USB-C port controller. So if this doesn't work, the machine is never going to be able to speak to the charger and say, I want 20 volts, not 5 volts. This is a different protocol than your average charge adapter, because with your old, even if whether it's a PC or a Mac, it's a laptop charger that's meant specifically for a laptop, and that port is typically only for that model of laptop or brand. Whereas here, you have USB-C. This is universal. You can use this with your cell phone. You can use this with your GoPro. You can use this with your MacBook. Your GoPro may want to charge with 5 volts. Your cell phone may want to charge with 9 volts. Your MacBook may want to charge with 20 volts. To be safe, it's going to start at the lowest voltage the protocol can put out, which I believe is 5 volts. And then, once communication gets done, then it'll raise it. It's not going to start at 20 volts, because if it started at 20 volts and you plug a GoPro in, it's going to go pshh. Honestly, not that terrible if you look at some of my videos on the GoPro itself. Anything deserves to go poof like that or get 20 volts to the face. I think it's a GoPro with how many bugs are in that damn thing. But anyway, that chip needs to work. And as you can see, it looks like this. So it's a good thing that we have some in stock at store.rossmangroup.com. But before we replace it, let's see if we can simply reflow and get this thing to work again. Just cut a little bit of flux over there. Small amount, not too much, just the right amount. Never. I'm angry, I could keep my mouth shut. I get so up, face up, or you can only back down. Face up, rocket, or you better hit the ground face up. Turn it up, or turn that wild card down. Face up. Turn Paul Daniels' software down. Squeeze the inside. $20 volts, 1.5 amps. Bam! Works. Little reflow. Okay, boomer. Okay, okay, boomer. Okay, okay, boomer. Okay, okay, boomer. Turn it up, face up. Why am I saying okay, boomer to singing that along to Rush's Face Up? Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. I'm more saying now that I'm wearing my IEMs while I'm working again, because this store is so noisy. Between the heater, the hot air stations, the fume extractor, this place is so loud, it drives me crazy. Even with the acoustic panels. So let's see what we get on screen, if anything. All right, another machine working. You saw the wallpaper? This customer said they were primarily concerned with data recovery. Well, we don't need to recover the data because we gave them a working machine. So we had a problem here with a CD3215. It was stuck at 5 volts rather than 20 volts, and one of the easy ways to tell that really quickly is with this handy-dandy USB-C amp meter that you can buy from store.rossmangroup.com. This will allow me to see what voltage the machine's at and also how many amps it's taking. So I was able to see that it was taking 5 volts, not 20, because the machine had it negotiated with the USB-C charger up to 20 volts, and now it is because we were able to reflow that chip. We didn't even have to replace it, and we just did a little bit of touch-up on the resistors in the nearby area. You don't want to leave them barely soldered onto the board, so just a little bit of filing and scraping. Remember, you don't want to put solder on top of corrosion. You're just going to file it away, use some flux, and go tss. It's not putting something on top, it's filing. And it worked. So that's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the support. And I will see you in the next video. Cut. Huh?
Do you recover the data or you fix it?
It works. It turns on. Just dusty and nasty. It needs some thermal paste. All right. Next. Okay, boomer. Okay, doomer. I hate drinking bottled water, but the water that comes out of my sink is funny colors, so.
You can't get a filter for it?
Sane, Mr. Sane Q, I had that tick when I was in 5th and 7th grade. I got made fun of like crazy for it. I actually had to put a lot of work in to get rid of it. So I would have to concentrate and focus on it all the time. And after about 3 years, I got rid of it. Before that, I also had a tick with blinking. So when I was in kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade, I always used to get called Blinky because I would do this. So people would just like walk up to me and say, Blinky, haha, and push me. Then I started lifting weights in high school and gained 45 pounds. And then when they did that, it didn't work anymore. Then we started to push them. But anyway, the thing was, yes, it's not that this is a new thing. This has always been there. I just figured out how to solve it, and then it came back after the bike accident. And I have not been able to solve it. But I was able to solve it when I was a teenager, so I'm sure I'll be able to solve it now. Just got to put a little bit of work and effort into it. I also wonder if it was just a bike accident or stress, because the bike accident occurred right as business started to go up, and it started to go up right as the building went on fire, and the building went on fire right as the CBC News piece happened that made business do this, and that happened right as I was understaffed because one of my best employees that year quit to take another job. So it's hard to tell if even it was concussion versus stress that triggered it. But anyway, we're going to put some notes in for this ticket. Does anyone know how well the sensors in a phone are documented? How well are they documented? Yeah, good luck. Find some Chinese software that's going to probably send all your information to Xi Jinping, like ZXW. Pay for it. Pray that the board views show up. Pray that they're accurate. Yeah, but I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. Anything in consumer electronics being well documented. Good luck with that. I'm still waiting on that one. I do stream on Twitch, Twitty. No headaches. That went away a while ago. Now I just get headaches from dealing with bank officers. Speaking of headaches from bank officers, I have one scheduled at 4 p.m. today. Expect to hear the same shit that I hear every time I go, but if you don't try again, you'll never know. I got some fun plans up ahead. Okay. Why do the boards you have to work on have so much corrosion? You would have to ask the customers why they treat their machines like shit. Thoughts on the latest MacBook Pro? It's a MacBook. They changed back to a design that they had that was normal shit rather than total shit, and they called it magic. I'll just leave it at that. You have a headache scheduled. Yes, that's called a conversation with someone who works at a bank. But conversation with someone who works at a bank is not easy to say, so it's really much simpler to use the two-syllable phrase for it, which is headache. Headache. It is not 4 p.m., it is 3:54. Is that why the budget changed so radically in the past couple of days? Well, as I said, I'm going to work with what I get. I always work with what I get, and you should always have your contingencies. And I'm going to be getting out of this sardine can one way or another. It just means waiting a little bit until business pops up to get out of here. But we'll see. I have some fun stuff up ahead with advertising. I have some fun stuff with advertising up ahead that we should do. There are certain sectors that we got into where I think we've been slightly, how do I put this, under-advertised because I suck at creating landing pages on my own website, but also people aren't aware of just how bad the current players in that specific field are, and I'd like to bust the door open on that in a large way, and it's going to be fun. I can't discuss it with you. It's exciting, but I can't discuss it with you right now because it would ruin it. Like I can't risk one of you ruining it, but it's going to be awesome. It's going to be something. Like if you thought the CBC piece was good, this is going to be so much better. But we'll see. Anyway, I am going to get out of here. Do you have customers who continue breaking their machines and keep coming back? Yeah, we have serial abusers. Yeah. This is going to be quite a bit of fun. All right. I'm going to get ready for my headache-inducing phone call. Thank you for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. If you know somebody who has a broken machine, help them out. And if you know where to find these machines in broken condition, grab a couple. Make them work again. Sell them. Make some money for yourself. Help somebody else that can't afford to buy something new. This is a beautiful industry because all around what you're doing is you're taking stuff that people already they've already in their head accounted for as a loss and making it work again. It genuinely is. It's just positive. It's all positive. And see you in the next one. It's going to be great. All right. Bye-bye.